So it was on that fateful night in November 2008 that 10 gunmen from the Pakistani terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba came ashore in rubber boats in Mumbai. They carried AK-47s, large amounts of ammunition, IEDs, hand grenades, water and food, and communication equipment needed to take orders from their handlers in Pakistan. They separated into teams and spread across South Mumbai, intent on accomplishing their carefully calculated route designed to inflict the greatest chaos, and the carnage went on for almost 3 days. At the end, 164 innocent people were killed, families were torn apart, and 293 people were severely wounded, leaving untold thousands mourning, as well as a city, a country, and a world traumatized by these events.
Today, we have assembled here to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the November 26th terrorist attack in Mumbai, and to pay tribute to 166 innocent people who were killed. I join all of you to remember those who lost their lives on this cowardly terrorist attack. In this terrible attack, as all of you are aware, Rabbi Halsberg and his wife Rivka, who was 5 months pregnant, was also killed by Pakistani Islamic terrorists. As most of you are aware, this terrorist attack had been organized by Lashkar-e-Taiba in collaboration with Pakistan ISI and various other terrorist organizations, including Hafiz Saeed and David Headley. While David Headley was prosecuted in USA and he was sentenced to 35 years in prison, but Pakistan government has not done anything towards the perpetrators of this horrific event. We are still waiting. Mr. Hafiz Saeed, the chief of LET, is still free. In the arc extending from Cairo to Jakarta, India and Israel are the beacons of democracy. These two democratic countries, along with USA, are under constant threat from terrorists. Hence, it is moral duty of the oldest and powerful democracy in the world, that is America, and the largest democracy, India, and the third angle is the most powerful democracy in Middle East, Israel, to find ways and means to join hands to fight this global terrorism. To fight this onslaught of those whose mannerism is incompatible with the spirit of 21st century. India, Israel, and America have been victims of terrorism. We are natural allies. I believe that these three countries, along with other countries of terrorism, should join hands together so that we can definitely nip in bud the vicious design of those religious bigots. Finally, I would request Pakistan, the civilized world will not be satisfied until Pakistan swiftly concludes the 2611 trial and give maximum punishment to the perpetrators of this terrorist. Thank you very much. God bless America.
To be a light unto the nations is not a luxury, is a burden, as Rabbi Dubna will tell you. And very few organizations are living up to that promise, which is a tenet of Judaism, like the network of the emissaries of Chabad. And you'll find them wherever you go, from the state of Wyoming all the way to India. Chabad has a network of people that believe in one very basic principle: doing better by doing good. And they're all about the promotion of goodness. Rabbi Hertzberg and his wife, who was 6 months old, 6 months pregnant when the attack occurred, paid with their lives the ultimate price while they were serving the community, while they were trying to do better by doing good for the whole community. And they were 2 of 156 people that died during that well-coordinated, multi-layered attack, 12 different locations simultaneously. Now, what have we learned in Israel from decades of dealing with terrorism? A lesson that is relevant, particularly today, 3 days after the international community signed an agreement with Iran. We learned that for the terrorist attack to take place, 3 conditions have to exist. The first is the perpetrator has to have the motivation to attack, to prepare the attack. Secondly, the perpetrator has to have the means, the technological capabilities, the military capabilities. And lastly, the perpetrator has to have the opportunity to strike. When there is a convergence of all 3 elements, motivation, capabilities, and opportunity, that's when the terrorist attack occurs. Now, we know that military capabilities to carry out attacks are readily accessible today. Children can find the recipe of how to prepare a bomb online. We know that our open societies provide opportunity in abundance. There's one thing that we need to address as a community, as a civilization, and that's the motivation to carry out the attack. And on a philosophical level, our position is that we need to look at every agreement with any rogue regime, with any terrorist organization, through the prism to what effect the agreement is addressing the issue of the motivation, the very nature of what these people stand for. Now, tragically, and I wish this had not been the case, the attacks in India brought our nations together, Consul General. And today, the tie between India and Israel is getting stronger by the day. Not only because of the tremendous economic cooperation that exists between the 2 countries, not only because of the fact that there is a significant growth in the tourism between the nations, in the academic exchange, in almost every parameter where you measure the quality of bilateral ties, you see an improvement. But mostly because we are now members of that small club of nations that understand what it means to stand for the right thing. And I'm grateful for your government's openness, cooperation, and friendship. And on this sad occasion, as we're gathering to remember those who lost their lives, those 156 souls that died in India in November of 2008, I'd like to express on behalf of my government our gratitude to all of you, the people of India, the government of India, for providing us with all the help that we need in those difficult moments.
It's a very, very difficult occasion. The gift of 21st century is a word called terrorism. I wonder whether this particular phrase was ever used in 19th century or even early 20th century. We seem to have somehow moved away from certain basic tenets that should govern the human life. The fact that we have to live with nature, the fact that we have to live peaceful life, the fact that we live we lead a life that affords dignity and respect to every human being. These were the values on which we were really, brought up. But it seems that somehow we have lost our way, and often we encounter these instances where humanity seems to be veering off from its basic foundation that will take us forward as a civilized nation. We are supposed to be evolved species, perhaps the most evolved species, and yet we have people amongst us who do not value life, people amongst us who do not respect the value of existence, the value of life. So today we come here to condemn terrorism in all forms. Terrorism has no religion, no caste, no nation, no nationality. It's something that is evil within us, that's eating away major resources. Look at the expenses that the world is spending on security alone. Look at the torture that all of us have to suffer when we journey and go around, whether at airports or elsewhere. But look at the human tragedy that each of these attacks that leave behind, and the families that suffer. Now, I come from Mumbai. I come from Maharashtra, where this particular thing has happened, but this could happen anywhere. You have had 7/7 in Spain, you have had 9/11 in the United States, you have had any number of attacks in Israel, you have had any number of attacks elsewhere. And it's not that the countries which support these, they are immune to that. These countries who really encourage this, sometimes as a state policy, sometimes through their agencies, sometimes through the so-called non-state actors acting on behalf of the states or agencies, these very countries also suffer from some form of terrorism or other. And so it's in the interest of the larger interest of the humanity that we together fight it out and completely delete it, if we can use the phrase of computer, delete the word terrorism from our vocabulary. This is a rather sad occasion to remember, but it's also important that friends come together on this occasion to stand together and to say that we will not allow these kinds of things to be repeated again. I'm happy that Israel and India are cooperating. I'm also happy that this is actually a triangular love affair, India, US, and Israel. Where we are trying to build synergies, convergences. There are historical. India, as you know, I would say that it has created one of the world's most peaceful legacies, starting from Buddha to Gandhi. We have set example of coexistence of all religions and all peoples. Parsis, who were persecuted several centuries back, they came to India. Christianity was first to arrive in India before it came to Europe. Jews in India are living there for more than 2,000 years, and peacefully. There are no examples in India of genocide or atrocities against any religion whatsoever. I'm not saying there have not been battles and fights, but there are no examples in our culture, in our history, of persecution. So that's the kind of example India presents to the world, and to have this kind of things happening, these kind of events happening, is really, really something that cannot be tolerated, that cannot be accepted. And I'm glad that our two countries are working together. Our two countries, meaning both India and US, and India and Israel, working together to form strategies, to create more cooperative efforts. And as you said, it's on the business side, it's on the cultural side, it's on the educational side, it's on counterterrorism, it's cyber security. Almost all areas of cooperation are there, which have been covered by our countries. I would say yes, we need to learn lessons from what has happened, and we have to make every effort that people do not get opportunity, they are not motivated, and they are not promoted. But this particular example of 26/11 is really, in a sense, a model of how terrorist minds work, how they are promoted, how There's a brain washing there. There's a physical training, in weaponry. There is also use of drugs so that people can stay awake for 50 hours and 60 hours. It's in a shocking, model of how terrorists and their operators work. So we have to come together. We have to work together. And I'm very happy that we seem to be going on the right direction. These incidents, as I said, have happened in US, happened elsewhere, happened in India a number of times. India has been actually trying to fight the war against terrorism much before 9/11. However, world has not paid enough attention. 1993, we had a major attack in Mumbai, not in one place but several places, and this has been repeated in a number of occasions. And India has raised alarm at all international forums. It's time that we come together in a much a stronger and much more determined manner to fight against terrorism, and see to it that at least we do not hand over this particular phrase to our coming generations. I would welcome all kinds of cooperation between us, the AJC, and other Jewish community. We have rightfully cooperating on the cultural side. The community, I always feel that we have much to learn from the Jewish community and how it has projected itself, how it has sort of put together all its strength in promoting the causes that are dear to its heart. I think Indian community has a lot to learn. As I said, we have 1.8 million people just in the tri-state area. But I do see that it's an underperforming community. And we would be very happy. Of course, we have lots of strengths, and we can really contribute a lot, both to our friendship as well as to the causes that world needs to cherish. And I would certainly be working very closely with the AJC as well as other friendly Jewish organizations that are here. I would like to end my short speech with a small prayer from Sanskrit, which is really a prayer that is secular, and it goes like this: Sarve pi sukhinas santu. Let everybody be happy. Sarve santu niramaya. Let everybody be healthy in the true sense of the term. Sarve sukhinas santu, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Let all the humanity see, face, and witness good things all around them. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. And let there be no soul with sadness in our world. Thank you very much for joining.
This brings back very saddest memories. I still recall the middle of the night watching the television, tears rolling down my eyes, not believing, because I'm also from Bombay. Regardless where you're from, you see your people being killed, not knowing what's going to happen the next morning, something which was the worst torture that anyone could face. As many have already echoed the sentiments that terrorism has been the disease of the 21st century. Almost every day we do hear this in some part of the world or the other, in some fashion or the other. What is the solution to this? Everybody talks of terrorism, but apparently solution has not been sought yet. Let's all hope and pray that terrorism will be a past sentence very soon. And as both the ambassadors have clearly mentioned, it is the working of the two nations together, because we've been the attacks of similar terrorist organizations, that we can reach peace, or at least we can be strong nations to show the rest of the world that we cannot just stand by and be either attacked or killed by someone else. Let us all take a moment of silence within ourselves to pay homage to all those, not just in Mumbai, but all over the world, those who have lost their lives, because they all were wonderful citizens of this world. And we need them all, and we need their blessing, because they have given their lives for the rest of us. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, in the Jewish tradition, we are taught a very central concept, the Hebrew word for the concept is zachor. Zachor means remember. We're taught to remember. And we do remember. We remember the fact that those who were killed were not simply an aggregate number of people. Each of those who was killed was a universe unto herself or himself. A universe which was populated with other members of their family and friends and colleagues and dreams and aspirations and hopes and potential and realized contributions which were snuffed out too soon. They weren't numbers, they were people. And they left behind people who are scarred for life, for whom not just the 5th anniversary on November 26th is a moment to pause and reflect, but for whom every minute of every day in the last 5 years and the ensuing years to come is a time for tears and unhealed scars. And what is the life of a young child named Moshe, both of whose parents were killed in the Chabad house? The rabbi who was referred to and his wife, and who will grow up an orphan, and who, I must say, was saved by a brave and dedicated and courageous Indian woman who took care of the child. That, to me, reflects the ultimate expression of humanity. And if we dare forget, then we will have killed them a second time. Because to allow their memories to be extinguished is effectively to consign them to a second death. We have to, at the very least, invest their lives with sustained meaning. And they cannot do it themselves. Only we can do it for them. That's a responsibility that I think each of us who are here tonight has assumed. No, we cannot bring them back to life. We can recall, remember by name, by image, by personal experience. But our responsibility today and tomorrow and the day after is to ensure that their lives are not forgotten and their deaths were not entirely in vain. For if they are forgotten, their deaths may well have been in vain. And it seems that the greatest contribution that we can make, beyond the commemorative ceremony that AJC is honored to co-host with our Indian friends here tonight, is to ensure that their deaths will not have been in vain. And that means, it seems to us, two things, above all. One, to affirm life. To affirm life, Ambassador, you said it so eloquently, because those who killed them wanted to affirm death and darkness and emptiness. We, on the other hand, affirm life with all of its beauty and all of its potential. And they will not intimidate us. They will not frighten us. We will continue to affirm life as long as there is a single breath within us. But there is something else I believe that we need to do. And that is we need to stand strong against what they believe in. We need to be a community of conscience, a coalition of commitment that stands together across religion and across frontier, but that affirms a set of values for which we are prepared to stand and fight with all the stiffness of spine and all the courage and all the commitment required to stand up to them and to ensure that they are defeated. And that those who affirm life, at the end of the day, defeat those who celebrate death and destruction. And in that regard, as has been said, but let me repeat, because for AJC it has been a central tenet long before 2008, indeed decades before 2008. We had a vision here, a vision that said there was something unnatural for decades when the United States and Israel and India were not the closest of friends. There was something wrong that these three great countries that should have been united by common democratic values, by common commitment to multiculturalism, by common commitment to peaceful coexistence, were not the most natural of friends. Those days, thankfully, are over. And today we celebrate a triangular relationship that stands for the affirmation of life and the defense of democracy and the promotion of multiculturalism. We stand together. And here in the United States, I think those expressions are best reflected by the gathering here tonight of members of the Indian American community and the American Jewish community. The more we know each other, the more I think we understand that we've been separated too long. Because the natural affinity, the natural commonality, the natural affirmation of values is such that we have to ask ourselves, where were we all these years? So for me, this evening is a moment of reflection, of memory, of remembrance, of tears, but it's also a renewal of a spirit of affirmation that we, the United States, India and Israel, we, the Jewish community, we, the Indian community, we people of whatever faith and religion and ethnicity and race who care about life will stand together and affirm together and live together and defend one another, because in doing so, we're defending something bigger than ourselves. We're defending the way we believe that life should be lived. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to the organizers of this special evening.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.